Since I was a kid, I was hyperactive. I never ran out of energy, and I was a living nightmare for my parents. From like 5 years old to 8 years old, I had stitches on my head, ears, lips, knee. Like I said, I was a nightmare. So I was used to pain from an early age because of all those injuries. When I grew up and started playing basketball, injuries started to pile up. But by that time, it just became normal. And after coming from Algeria to Canada, I discovered the liberty to play basketball outside by myself, and I was blessed. So I practice, and then started to play with other people, 3 versus 3, 5 versus 5, and got my first real injuries. Rolled out my ankles, popped my shoulder, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. I rolled both of my ankles, I think more than 4 times. One in 2010, 2012, 2014, and probably 2017 or 2018. Only ankles. And I never healed properly. So I never regained back my mobility or my flexibility. And then because of those injuries, I got other injuries. Small injuries on my knee, hamstring, hips. My body was dysfunctional up until 2019. Then the biggest injury of my career life happened. I fucked my ACL. But the first time that happened, I didn't know it was that severe. So the first time I got the injury was because of a 3 versus 3, and I twisted my ankle by stepping on the foot of someone because he was playing bad defense. Duh. And I didn't know the degree of severity of the injury. So after 2 weeks, I was able to walk again, jump again, run again. And the physiotherapist gave me the green light because he made me do some exercises, and I was able to do them without pain. But I was wrong. 4 months later, I played a game 5-5, and I fucked my knee completely. I ruptured my ACL, I partially ruptured my LCL, and I damaged my meniscus. So that was it. Like, I knew it wasn't the same as the first time. I directly went to the doctor the day after it happened and did a bunch of tests. Waited 3 months before having my surgery, and that was on December 4th or November. I don't really recall it. But now we enter the post-surgery backstory. Mental clarity. The first 2 weeks of any surgery are the worst because you have unbearable pain, you have to take medication, and you can't get any night of sleep for at least 5-6 days. You can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't do shit. So it's kind of miserable in the first I'd say 3-4 days. But after that, you start to get used to the pain and the overall situation. But medication was a must, because if I didn't take the medication, I couldn't do the exercises. And you had to do the exercises right after the surgery because of the meniscus. And so after 2 weeks, like, in my head, I'm like, I had so many injuries before, and I was used to it, like I said. And I knew that the first 2 weeks are the worst. So in my head, I was like, after 2 weeks, I'm gonna be good. I just need to get after those 2 weeks. And I was wrong again. After those 2 weeks, I thought that I could come back to my work, go to the computer, do things as I was doing them before, but it didn't happen like that. I was having horrible headaches. I couldn't stay in front of the computer for more than 25 minutes. And if I try to do that, like, I just feel brain fogs, crazy brain fogs, and you just can't focus. Even if you want to, you just can't. So after the 2 weeks mark, I think you cannot refill medication. I don't really remember, to be honest. I wanted to start practicing my pain tolerance. So instead of just like having medication to ease the pain, I was only taking the medication before exercises. Other than that, I stopped taking medication, and I slowly eradicate them from my day to day. So I was able to endure the pain more than I was before. And after a couple of days, I was off medication. But then my body get used to the medication. So again, I thought that I would be able to come back to the computer. That's all what I wanted. And I couldn't, because my body get used to the medication, and then it wasn't possible to focus because I always had headaches. Headaches were like constantly pursuing me, like, if I can say it like that, I if I didn't take medication for the headaches, then I had headaches. And you know what? I thought to myself, this cannot like continue like that. So I just forced myself to take a rest that I cannot take in a rest that I normally don't take usually. I love to work to an obsessive degree, which can be good and cannot be good at some extent, but it forced me to sit with my thoughts and think about my life, about my business, and about everything. Because when you work all the time, and everything that you do is related to work, then you don't even have the time or the occasion to sit with your own thoughts. And there is no time for self reflection, no time for just resting normally. And you enter into a loophole that there's like a negative loophole for your business, and you cannot progress because you're stuck. You think that you need to work nonstop, but when you do that, you don't self-reflect, and when you don't self-reflect, you cannot extend and zoom out. So when I forced myself to take a rest, and when I sat with my thoughts, everything changed. Everything. Just for a quick context, I'm a brand and web designer, and I was only doing that at that time, only freelancing, without another purpose, another goal, another side business or whatever it might be. But after I had this self-reflection, I thought about everything, and I decided to start something else. And that's where this YouTube channel come from in the first place. I was fed up with my freelance business because I had to prove my value. I didn't have a personal brand. I didn't have anything. So I was sending a bunch of cold emails for nothing. I had to prove my value, which wasn't sitting well with me. So I decided to start a real personal brand. After coming on dance school content, I had a light bulb moment that I can make those videos, talk about those topics, my interests, my life, make it interesting, help other people, and doing it in a way that I enjoy it, you know? So it was super, super different. Now I have my freelance business and this side hustle per se, because I consider it as a business, and it's fulfilling, you know? If I hadn't had the ACL injury, the ACL surgery, I wouldn't be here today, because I know that I wasn't gonna take a rest. I wasn't gonna have this self-reflection moment. Maybe after being fed up with something else, but taking rest is crucial. Self-reflection is crucial. If you don't do it often and you feel like you're stuck, it's because of that. Because you are not asking yourself questions and you are not zooming out. After I zoomed out, everything started to align in place. And it took me around 2 months, you know. I had my surgery in December, but I started thinking about launching my starting my personal brand around my interests from that time. And I started in February 1. When I went to Bali, I gave myself 10 hours, did my website, wrote my first newsletter, did my roadmap. You can watch the first video about that. And I just started. But I kept my freelance business. And when I think back, I know that it's not the same. It won't be the same thing if I just kept doing freelance business, you know? Yes, it is my passion, but it was slowly shifting toward like being a burden. I didn't become a freelancer, a business owner like to be trapped into my own time, you know? I didn't own my time. And now I own my time. I dedicate a specific set of hours for freelance and a specific set of hours for content creation. The balance of both is amazing. So before the surgery, I binge read tons and tons and tons of ACL surgery, ACL injury content, and a lot of video as well. And I came across something interesting, that a lot of people who experience injuries suffer from depression, whether it's before the surgery or after the surgery. But I have the data for after the surgery, and specifically ACL surgery. Patients who sustain an ACL injury can suffer from symptoms of depression, especially during the first 6 weeks after ACL reconstruction. Depressive symptoms are more common among professional versus non-professional athletes. Level of anxiety symptoms were not above the cutoffs for a diagnosis of anxiety after an ACL injury. Source: SagePub. So from what I've just read you, I knew that it was a possibility, but me personally, I never experienced depression, and I know it's a sensitive topic. So just this quick disclaimer here. I'm not giving advice here. I'm sharing my perspective. So please understand that is my experience and my perspective. If you don't agree with that, it's all good. It's okay. But especially because I know that some people told me that I cannot afford to give advice, which, like I said, I understand because I never experienced it in the first place. But the question that you should ask yourself is, how come I never experienced depression? How come I got all those injuries and I never experienced depression, you know? Because I could have just said to myself, oh my God, again, I always injure myself. But instead, I was telling myself, you know, I'm not going to injure myself again. I want to work out in a way that I won't injure myself again. Like, all my workouts shifted toward building my body in a way that I don't get injured again, because I am an encyclopedia of injuries. I know the pronunciation is off, but you get the point. So after, I thought to myself, yeah, so I can I could become victim of depression, but I never experienced that. So I told myself I cannot afford to get into depression, especially after the surgery, because you have to do the exercises, you have to eat, you have to consume proteins, you have to take rest. And instead of becoming depressed and after trying to get out of it, I wanted to never get into it in the first place. But I was aware of the possibilities. And that's why I self reflected, because again, I had many opportunities to get into depression because I couldn't work. I couldn't do a lot of things. I couldn't play basketball. Up until now, I can't play basketball, which is mentally challenging, you know? But it's all a question of perspective, because I put my faith in God. And if you don't believe in God, I can't really help you visualize that. But this is my perspective. If I endured all those injuries, it was because there was something else coming for me that I wouldn't be able to face if I didn't build the mental resilience because of those injuries. So now that I'm seeing, like, I'm giving this video, I'm doing this video explaining to you, it was because of my ACL injury that I built this second business, this YouTube channel, my website, my Twitter account. And if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't have everything that I have now. And so when you try to find something positive out of your incident, injury, surgery, whatever that might be, then something good will come to you. But if you only focus on the negative side of it, then you'll only experience the negative side of it. And that's how you can become depressed, because of the negative bias around that. And quite frankly, I know it's far just easy to say but not easy to do, but you always have two choices. You either complain about it or you embrace the situation. And I came to a point where I just have to embrace the situation. And likely I'm glad I did, because I'm here. And that's what counts the most for me. That is what is most important for me, again, because you don't know what can happen if you follow the positive mindset. And the only way to experience it and to know what it could be is to adopt the positive mindset. Overcoming physical challenges is mentally challenging in the first place. And I had to mentally rewire myself to understand that I can become stronger than I was before. And I never reached my full potential because of my previous injuries that were never fully healed, fully recovered. And now my goal is to rebuild all the foundation of my body from the get-go, And I came across an interesting guy, Knees Over Toes. I'm gonna subscribe to his program, and I have faith, I'm really mentally to become stronger than I was before. And I know that is possible, and I know that I'm gonna achieve it. And especially because I never reached my full potential before. So now I'm gonna come back stronger than before and healthier than before. Jumping higher, sprinting faster, lifting heavier. So to wrap up this video, I'm just gonna say it loud and clear. Do your damn research. I can't do it all for you. No, just kidding. I want to share with you the most common mistakes that you can make after a surgery, an ACL and meniscus surgery. And again, do your research. So those are the mistakes that I avoid doing, because I want to get back to the court, man. That's just what I want, man. The first mistake, not starting physiotherapy soon enough. 1 to 2 days after surgery. I mean, you have to respect it. The second one, neglecting the mind muscle connection exercises. Do your research. I don't want to explain to you what that is. 3. Not following the protocol strictly. 4. Poor nutrition. Not enough proteins. Now is not the time for a diet. Now is not the time to lose weight. Fifth mistake, wrong rehab program exercises. That means you should have a strength program. That was referred to me by my physiotherapist and many YouTube videos. If I can find them again, I will link them in the description of the video. The sixth mistake is bad sleeping habits, but I can understand in the beginning, even me, I was only able to sleep 3-4 hours per night for a week. It was a nightmare, but you do what you have to do. The seventh and last mistake is restarting sports too soon. And that's for me like the dumbest mistake possible. I already did it because basketball is a toxic love, man. It's a toxic relationship. But you get the point. You should be at your 200% capacity before coming back to your sport, because otherwise you will injure yourself again. I don't have the exact data, but I think 35% of those who had an ACL surgery got injured again because of this particular reason. You are not healed 100% and you come back to the court. How stupid is that? Anyway, stay healthy and send me a DM, send me a message if you already had an ACL or whatever surgery you had. I would love to connect with you and learn more about your story. With that, if you didn't watch my first video, I invite you to watch it right here, and I'll see you next time.